we are. So if you've got background noise, make sure you guys eliminate it. And make sure that your camera is where we can see you guys. So welcome to week 2 of Step Up, Say Yes. I know we're all coming off of conference, and I don't know about you guys, but I woke up this morning with no voice from screaming on the surfboard at Melanie and all the girls who were surfing like crazy people, and that was really fun. So anyway, before we kind of get going, I would love to hear from you guys. I don't know if you guys had a chance to think about last week. What are you being driven by right now? And I know some of you said, "Oh, I'm driven by love and contribution." And then when you really are honest with yourself, you realize that you'd like to be driven by love and contribution, but you're actually maybe being driven by something else. So, what are you being driven by?
Right back.
Wanting to change my situation.
Kelly, go ahead.
Wanting to change my situation financially to where we are now, to something different where we can actually enjoy life rather than always constantly working.
Right. So which of the 6 human needs are you falling into?
Uncertainty, I think.
Uncertainty?
I think so.
No, you have uncertainty now, but
I have certainty now with what we're doing, but by changing what I want to do, I fall into uncertainty, right?
I would say you're being driven by certainty because you're kind of letting that drive you because everything has to be certain right now. You'd like to be driven by more uncertainty.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That does actually make sense.
And uncertainty is the spice of life, so it's okay. And so that's why we see a lot of people that maybe don't move forward. We talk about Juice Plus. They don't move forward in their business because they need to be so certain of. You hear this a lot with people that say, I need to have this much a month before I can go to conference. I need to know that 10 people are going to come, or I'm going to cancel my event, things like that, or anything around money is typically around certainty, being driven by certainty.
It's funny you say that because that's the way I used to be, and this time it's just like, I don't really care, I'm doing it. I'm going to conference, I'm doing I've already got 3 on the book, 3 presentations on the books for within the next 6 weeks.
Awesome. And so now it's taking that action to follow through and doing it whatever, because when you make that decision, which is what we're going to talk about today, that's what will drive you. And I loved Holly's story in the wrap-up because that is exactly what she said. We're just doing it. I don't know how we're going to get there, but we're going to do it. And that's being driven a little bit by uncertainty. But Holly's actually not driven by uncertainty. She's okay with it. She's really driven by love and connection, if I'm right. And also growth, mostly contribution and growth, I would say, too. So she's got 3, which is why she's powerful right now, because she's addicted. Is there anything else driving you?
Well, I just think my eyes got open to how much the contribution is driving me so much to push through all those things. And because, yes, with my story, I didn't realize that just because we've gone through so many hard times that I really want to give back, and that is just driving me so hard. I didn't realize how much that it's giving me the courage to push through some of those, those fears or whatever. So it was really eye-opening because I knew loving significance, and I knew, what's the other one? Growth. I do want to grow, but I did not realize that contribution was so strong.
That's actually good. That's a good thing to be driven by. So that's awesome. Anybody else?
I'll go.
Okay.
I think that I'm driven by certainty because I'm really afraid of succeeding. I've always been afraid of succeeding, and the succeeding is keeping me in a place of certainty because it's safe.
Okay.
And that's as far as I got with that.
Yeah. So if you always need to have everything certain, you probably don't have a whole lot of real exciting things in your life. And when you do get uncertainty, you're probably not very happy about it. Am I right?
No, I'm not. I like everything nice and level. The uncertainty for me, and this might sound weird, is I think I'm a train junkie. And that is as far as uncertain as I get. And then, and I put some of it into action, but not a lot of it.
Right. So you don't want to do that anymore, right?
Right. Yeah. And I'm real. That's what's great about this, because I realized that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really, yeah, powerful.
So be okay with some uncertainty and maybe build that in and just say, I'm doing it no matter what.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. Good. And there's some significance in there too, because sometimes when you have driven by certainty, you're a little worried about what people might think of you, which is why you say I'm afraid of success.
Yeah.
And you said that on your nugget, by the way. Thank you. It was beautiful. It made me cry. So thank you.
Oh, really?
Beautiful. Anybody else? What about you, Missy? Jim? I don't know where they are. They're in there somewhere. There they are. No.
Problem. Yes. Can you hear us?
Not very good. Okay, there you go.
Slow bandwidth. See if you can hear me now. We have a slow bandwidth, so I think we're in trouble.
Go ahead.
I think I'm driven by all of it. That's my problem. I can't pick one thing because I find that nothing is ever black and white for me, so I end up not being able to choose just one. I know I'm driven by uncertainty. I know I'm driven by wanting money. I know I'm driven by certainty. I know I'm driven, you and I had talked, and I get it when I think I'm probably driven by uncertainty in saying all that because I can't even make a decision on that.
Well, being driven by that, no, I think you're being driven by, you got it, you're kind of backwards too. You're being driven by certainty because you can't make the decision. Uncertainty is when you are kind of, you're driven by uncertainty if you kind of like excitement. Like somebody that jumps off and does hang gliding off of like Chamonix Alps, that's somebody driven by uncertainty. See what I'm saying? Now you could be driven by uncertainty in a negative way, and that, yes, you could be. That's the case. So let me give you an example. Melanie, I thought, did a really, really good job of taking this to the next level. And she said, and I would have picked love and connection for her. And she said, I'm so driven by love and connection. I mean, everything she does is love and connection. You go into her house, you feel love and connection. You know, immediately you feel welcome and feel like you're supposed to stay forever and it's all okay. And everybody that walks in the door is like that. But she said, I'm being driven by love and connection in a negative way, because the church calls, I say yes, the school calls, I say yes, my friend calls, instead of saying, well, I'm going to be still driven by love and connection, but I'm going to change that, and I'm going to do that for myself in my own business. Does that make sense? So I hope you guys will take that time to really dive into that worksheet and work on that and say, you know, what do you want to be driven by? Now, I'll just give you a little clue, and then we'll move on. I know Patty still has to go, but and Bobby, really quick, but the closer you can get to being driven by growth and contribution and love and connection, the happier you'll be. And you'll have all the others with it, right? So, you know, Tony Robbins talks about...
Reagan,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, the question driven by growth, what, and love and connection?
Growth, contribution, and love and connection. The closer you can get to those, the happier you'll be. And you need to have them. You need to have them all. But you want to make sure that what is driving you is what you want to be driving you. Because we all need certainty. We all need uncertainty, right? And Patty, I don't know if you want to weigh in there. And I've got, just real quick, tell me what you, because I know you've told me, so I know what yours is, but maybe you want to share. Patty? Did you hear me? She's delayed. Okay, we'll go to Bobby. How about you, Bobby?
Well, you know, Reagan, there's a situation in our life that we have never really had the necessity to really push forward and do the business the way we know that it should be done because of lack of necessity. However, we've got one more year, and the club is retiring us, so there is a sense of urgency, so that we are just putting our foot forward, and we're going to really do the process as far as having weekly get-togethers and kind of see if we can't grow our business the way it could be grown.
Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit, and I pulled out your guys. There's something that Patty said on the form, and I am going to use it because I think it's really good for a lot of people right now. So I'll come back to that. I'm just pulling this out to remind myself. Love that.
One quick question: how do you mute?
At the very top, you should see a little mute button.
Or hover over your name, Bobby, or your picture.
Yeah. And it depends on what you're. Hey, Patty, you're up.
Oh, you know, I'm sorry, but I have to tell you, I am a little confused about all of this. And I watched the video and I read through everything, but I'm still not quite understanding what all this means. I don't understand what certainty means and uncertainty and all that. All that I know is when you talk about love and contribution, and you mentioned Melanie, and you feel welcome in your home. I'm hopeful that people feel welcome when they come to our home and that sort of thing. But I don't know if that's what drives me. I'm able to say no to people. Growth, I'm hoping that means wanting to expand yourself and to stretch yourself, and I've always wanted to do that in my whole life. Contribution, I guess that means being a part of something. I just don't know exactly what all this means, so I guess I'm confused a little bit.
Did you do the worksheet?
I did, but I didn't know how to answer it. I mean, I've gone through it like 4 times, and I just look at it, and I'm like, I don't know how to answer this. I don't know.
You don't know what drives.
What a certainty, positive or negative. I've been looking at. Pardon?
Right. I know. I had a hard time with it too. And you're laggy, just so you know. So that's just so you know. We just once in a while don't hear you. Let me pull out mine because I think it's really important that you do know that. And you know what I found, and you may find that you are being driven by all the things you want to be. I'm not saying you're not, but what I found, what I thought I was driven by, was not. So for me, certainty, positively, I'm being driven by certainty because I have a really nice paycheck with Juice Plus. I've got a great relationship with my husband and my kids. I love my church. I love my business. And for me, having a home that I love to be in, that I feel, is great. That's a positive certainty for me. Negatively, I tend to stay in things that maybe I get bored with because I get afraid to maybe venture out or stretch myself or whatever. Another way that I'm driven in certainty is that we have a holiday routine in my house with my family that it takes me until February to get back into feeling like myself again because I allow, because we're into tradition. I do it for my kids, but it doesn't make me happy, but it's certainty for the family and what we've always done. Not healthy. Need to change that. Uncertainty. We like to travel. So we like to travel. That gives me that. I love to do trainings like this, go on a nice bike ride, different sports and things we do. Richard's job is uncertainty for me, but it's good because he's able to make a lot of money. A lot of people probably couldn't be married to somebody that had big swings in their income, but I'm okay with that. Negatively, I worry about the economy or maybe watching too much TV sometimes and all of that getting into my brain. And I also put Richard's career because when it's down, then it's uncertain for me, and I drive that, and it's not. I need to not focus on that. Significance, positive, training, my team, leadership, the house. Maybe I'm really proud of the car I drive. I mean, I get to drive what I want. I don't look at that as a negative. My negative on my significance is I can tend to be a black sheep, and that's not always good. I'm the buck the system girl sometimes, but sometimes that's good. So sometimes that can be driven negatively. And love and connection, so you kind of go through and go, what is it really that how am I behaving in life, and how do I work towards getting positively driven in all of these? Because if you're a significance person who you see people like, and I'm not going to name names, but there are certain national marketing directors that the only reason they want to be a national marketing director is so that they're seen as the leader, but when it comes down to it, not all of them do a lot of work. Do you know what I mean? So do you want to be a national marketer? So taking that and applying it to different areas in your life, it could be general, or you could say, you know, in my business, you know, how do I get significance? How do I get significance in my Juice Plus business positively? Well, I get that by doing more love and connection and growth and contribution and trying to give back, and therefore I get significance because then I'm seen as a leader versus, well, I'll just do anything to be seen as a leader. You know, I'm going to make sure I show up and am seen. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we are going, and I know it's hard. That's why I wanted you to think about it for a couple of weeks, because you start to kind of identify. And it was just so that you can really start to focus in your business, you know, how do I contribute more? How do I make a decision? Because if you're a person that's kind of stuck in significance, like I'm really worried about what people think of me, you know, so much that it paralyzes me, you're not going to be able to go where we're going today, which is make a decision right now. It doesn't matter how I get there. You don't like any uncertainty, Judy Lopez. It's going to be hard for you to set that goal and go, I'm going to get there no matter what. Because being driven maybe by that in a negative way is going to stop you in your tracks. See what I'm saying? So you got to really think about that and go, what am I going to focus on? What am I going to change? And how am I going to make that happen? You guys with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I am going to share my screen here. Where did it go? Hold on 1 second here. Oops, that's not it. That's my screen. Hold on. Where my screen? Let me move this over here. So today we're going to go into the power of beliefs. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So today we're going to go into the power of beliefs, because the beliefs the decisions you're making based on the 6 human needs and how you're kind of functioning really determine the rest of your life, and how successful you are. And you know, sometimes we have beliefs that are holding us back in our business, and so transformation is always fueled by human emotion, right? So when we talk back about the human needs, you know, the human needs are really the foundation of how you're feeling. Do you see what I'm saying? So if we go back to that made-up person that I made up that says, oh, I'm going to be an NMD just so everybody sees me as an NMD, they're always feeling inadequate probably. They're striving for the wrong reasons. That belief is going to eventually hold them back, or it's going to become a monster, right? Versus saying, gosh, you know, I'm going to be an NMD so I can help the world and make a difference. So it's really reframing that. So we want to try on some new stuff, because you can always go back to the old way. And here's the thing, people would rather deal with the pain they know versus the pain they don't. Right? And all change happens in a moment, not a decade. So when you decide that you're going to change, and it's urgent enough for you to change, you will. Okay? It's a moment of decision. So when people say, well, I've been struggling with this or whatever, you know what? That they haven't made a decision. When you make the decision, it happens right now on that moment. Does that make sense? So you guys unmute so you can talk to me.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So we talked about what needs are driving you, and then be thinking about what you want to drive you, but what you really want to do is say yes. Okay, say yes, because you know, say yes to this business, because really what good has come into your life from saying no? You know, try it on for size, okay? This is the work here. And maybe it's your time to reprogram yourself. So the power of beliefs, you know, and a belief is a feeling of certainty about what something means. So when we have these beliefs, it's the meaning that we're attaching to them that makes all of the difference, okay? And then I put on there, you might even walk on coals, no problem. And I think I might have forgot to tell this group last week that we got to walk on coals. And it was the first day of UPW. And it's pretty scary. I mean, these are 2,000-degree coals. And to be able to, one, trust in the system, to decide we were going to do it, and to put ourselves in a state that we weren't having a whole lot of uncertainty, but we were certain we were going to do it. And we had made the decision, we are going to do it. We just were in that yes, yes, yes. We did it. And we knew we weren't going to get hurt if we just walked across the coals. But then, you know, you look at the coals and you go, oh my gosh, they're 2,000 degrees, I could get burned. So, you know, having that belief and that certainty that you're going to do your business or whatever it is in life that you're working on, and being completely committed to that yes, you can, is a lot different than, well, maybe I'll try and see how it works, right? So here's the Ultimate Success Program, and I'll give you guys these slides, so you don't need to worry about writing them all down unless you want to. But every week I'm going to give you guys the whole PowerPoint, just so you can go back and look. So the one thing is know your outcome, and clarity is power. And what that means is, where are you going? Without a doubt. You know, not like, well, I'm going to try to make this business work and whatever. You have to have something that is a must, like I'm going to do it. And you guys, you know, Judy, when you said, you know, Holly Meisner is powerful, I think Missy said the same thing. Why are you guys saying that? What is it about Holly that's making you say that? She puts her underwear on just like you do in the morning, with a leg in each hole, you know?
Right.
I think it's more her story's more powerful.
Oh, really? Because a lot of people have that story and use it as an excuse not to build a business.
Well, that's true, too. I mean, my story's pretty mundane compared to other people, especially home. But, you know, I run with it. As boring as it is.
Well, your story's your story, but...
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I've been very blessed, my family, and I'm grateful for that I haven't had to overcome some things that other people have. Trust me, I'm very grateful. But I think it's more the power of her story and her presentation of it, because she is a very personable and likable person.
Yes.
If you hear about her story, it's like, holy crow, she has overcome so much.
Uh-huh.
And you start to think, God, you know, I personally think my own, when I hear her story, I'm like, if she, you know, she's got pros and cons, a story that can really relate to so many people, and you sit there, and even if those things have not happened to you personally, you can kind of almost appreciate what you have, and look back and say, because I know how I feel when I heard her story, I was like, God, you know, if she can do this with all these obstacles in her way, why can't I when I don't have them?
Exactly. But you know why? Because she said, I'm doing it. That's clarity of power. She said, well, as you would say, Kelly, no crow about it. I'm doing it, right?
Right.
And that's the difference. That's why clarity is power. So if you can make where are you going that has that much power? It doesn't matter what your story is. Yeah, she's got this story, but I will tell you, 99.9% of the people in the world would use Holly's story as a reason to not do this business, not to do this business.
Why?
So, go ahead, Mickey.
Oh, good. You saw my hand raised. Okay. I think I agree with that at some point, but I really think it's Holly's belief in what she is doing. It's not, I mean, I have a story, but I'm not sure my belief in what I'm supposed to be doing with this business is as strong yet as Holly's, and I'm not sure why, but I think that's what attracts me to what Holly's doing, is that as she spoke the other day at the closing, she made that statement that Judy talked about, that let other people make the decision. And I've told myself that before too. And so that's what I think triggers me when I listen to what Holly spoke about.
Yeah. So can you get your story as strong as Holly's as to why you're doing this business? Because whose team do you want to be on? And Holly, I'm sorry I'm using you as an example the whole time, but you know, whose team do you want to be on? Somebody that's got passion like Holly, or somebody that's like, well, I might do the business. We're going to do our best we can.
Right.
Whose team are you joining?
For me, can I just say something? For me, you know, Holly does have a very powerful story. But what I admire about Holly is that she just goes for it. And she said so many profound things that it's amazing. She said something the other day. She said that when she does a wellness presentation, she doesn't hem and haw about it. She doesn't say, oh my gosh, what if I screw this up? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I lose my note? What if I'm reading notes? No. I'm going to change someone's life today. And that is her.
Right.
That's what she just says, and she does it. And that, to me, is what makes Holly powerful.
Yes, because clarity is power, and that's why, okay? Awesome observations. I'm going to move to the next slide here. So you got to know your reasons why. Why is it a must for you, okay? So that's your goal this week, is to figure that out. And it doesn't have to be Holly's story. I mean, when I started this business, I lived in my dream house already. You know, I didn't need the money, but for me it was, well, I'm going to go do it because I want to, A, see if I can, but 2, I have a lot of fun empowering people, and I want to make it to the top to see how many people I can help. So I was kind of tapping into that contribution and connection, love and connection and growth as well, and it was like, it doesn't matter how, what matters why, and I'll figure it out along the way. The third step is to take massive action. You don't see, I mean, if you listen back to the NMD speeches this weekend, this is perfect timing for this. The lady that took her 21 years, you know what she said? You guys, I don't know if you picked up on it. She said, 6 months ago, I made a decision. Did you guys hear that?
Mm-hmm.
6 months ago. It didn't take her 21 years. It took her 6 months and some, because she stagnated, because she didn't have a why and she didn't take massive action. But she took massive action for 6 months, and her team came alongside of her in that. And then know what you're getting for it, and be okay with it. Like, why are you, why are you doing it? But what are you going to be getting? And Holly, I know I'm using you as an example again, but for Holly, she's getting her bills paid for her kids, and she's empowering other people, and so she can tell you several reasons why she's doing that. A lot of people don't even know what they're getting for. Like, what are you going to get when you get to National Marketing Director, or what are you going to get when you get to Senior Sales Coordinator? Why is that important? And be able to share that passion with people. It's so important. And if it's not working for you, to be able to change your approach along the way. It's not like not everything works for everybody, and sometimes the things that you're doing, maybe you're saying one little thing, it's tweaking something and changing your approach along the way so that it does work. And even with Holly, I mean, Holly's tweaked her presentation, I don't know how many times, Holly, many in the last even 3 months, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I like it now, and I'm sticking with it.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, so the powers of beliefs is that, here's the thing, you guys, it must change now, okay? I must change it now, and I can change it now. So, and Patty, I'm not picking on you, but I just want you to know, because a lot of people put this on here, you guys have your year coming up, and you still put, I still don't have extreme urgency now. That's got to change for you to do this and for you to get the results you want, because I know you want it, but if you don't have extreme urgency now, you're going to get to that date and you're going to be disappointed because of that. You guys hear what I'm saying? I mean, we all do that. It's not just Patty. It's all like, well, Yeah, you know, if I get to national, well, no, when, why, and when are you doing this?
Well, in fairness, I've had a lot of time to travel by myself and think about stuff and be by myself. I room by myself, the conference and such, and frankly, I was where I'm staying. When my friends, she asked me about Juice Plus and all, and I said something about being NMD, and I said if, and I said, whoa, wait a minute. I said, actually, when I'm National Marketing Director. Because I think that I've always had that uncertainty. Maybe that's my uncertainty, is if I'm ever going to be able to do this. It seems so far out of reach. But I stopped myself in mid-sentence and changed it. So maybe I am ready to change it now.
I think you are.
I mean, you know, apparently I must be, because I certainly stopped myself and changed what I said.
Yeah,
out loud.
That's good, and that was a perfect thing to do. So just remember that looking backwards instead of forwards are those are the people you'll find that can't change. And then also remember that the past does not equal the future unless you live there. So again, it's changing that focus on what you want. And there's only two things that change us, you guys, and that's linking things with extreme pain or extreme pleasure. And then you've got to break that state, okay? So, and I have a monkey picture here because we wire ourselves for that, and you're going to read that in the book, The Talent Code. I hope you're reading that book. So they took this monkey, and they actually taped its fingers down and left one finger, and they physically bent this monkey's finger 2,000 times, right? Or I think it might have even been more. But they did this thing, and then the monkey just automatically kept bending his finger all the time because they had wired his brain that he's supposed to bend his finger over and over and over. And for us, it's only like 20 times or something like that. We don't need to do it like a monkey. So, you know, you have the ability to wire yourself for success, to be pissed off, to be happy about making phone calls, to dreading it. You know, so you want to be programming yourself to linking whatever it is that's holding you back instead of with the pain. Oh my gosh, maybe people won't come to my wellness presentation, to extreme pleasure, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to change some lives tonight. You hear the difference? So it's just that framing of that. And I have a little, I'm going to skip over this because I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick and come back to that. I'm going to show you guys a video, and I hope this works. Let me go into the Webinar Jam video. And we need to get leverage to change that. So here's a video. You guys tell me if you can hear this.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, didn't have it. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Could you see the video?
It's a black square.
Black screen.
Okay, let's just do it that way, and we'll see if that works. Let's see if you guys can see this. I don't think. Let me know if you can't see it.
Okay.
Got it.
Asked a very interesting question. Somebody asked me a question, raised their hand in a seminar and said, Tony, can you change people that don't want to change? Of course you can change people who don't want to change. All you need is the right kind of, if you have enough leverage where change becomes an absolute. Now for some people, leverage is not even the threat of their own life. Some people rather die than have you tell them what to do. And so that's not the leverage. The leverage for them might be something for their children. Leverage for them might be spiritual growth. All of us have a leverage point. If you find the leverage, not the leverage you make someone do it, the leverage that will make them make themselves do it. We all have some place that will get us to follow through. Now, if you get enough leverage and if you interrupt the pattern enough, how many of you ever had a pattern when you were a kid and you had like some obnoxious uncle or something and you were trying to be upset, and they come like rub your damn head or some dish, make you crazy, and you couldn't stay upset because they kept doing this to you. How many had this happen? Say, ah. If you have enough leverage and you break someone's pattern enough times, a new pattern will show up. If you're conscious, you can create the new pattern. So the answer is yes. Now then the question would be, Tony, if all it takes is leverage, then why don't most people change? And I had a lot of answers to that, but that night, I'm a night person. That night, I'm wired up after a seminar. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. It was December. And so I flip on the television in the back for some white noise, looking for CNN, and I come across the old Christmas classic, this Christmas Carol, right? The Dickens classic. And I see it in black and white, and I start watching the movie, and I'm remembering it from being a kid. And as I'm watching this thing, I see this man named Scrooge who clearly doesn't want to change. In fact, he's certain he doesn't need to change. Because what's happened is his life went through a lot of pain. And when he got pain, he looked for the source of that pain, and he said it was being close to people. So we decided is people equals pain. Remember the red squares we talked about? So now he wants to avoid people. And he's mean to people. Now, he's also very wealthy financially. He makes up this belief, because I'm mean and tough with people, I'm rich. The truth is, he's financially rich. If you watch the movie, you read the story, when everybody else is gone, who's still working? He is. He's hardworking, he's thrifty, he's smart, he's intelligent, but he thinks he's rich because he's mean. So he doesn't want to lose being rich. He doesn't want to lose not being hurt. There's a belief. Be mean to people and everything works out, even though he's miserable. Can we have beliefs that make no sense and yet still believe them, yes or no? Sure, we just get wired. So I'm watching this guy. Now, the only way people change is that they associate either enough what? Pain, so they have to change, or they associate changing will equal enough what? And ideally, if you get both, you'll change. If you get, every moment I do this, the pain's getting more and more intense, there's a point where you must change. And if I change, I get all this pleasure, you're going to want to change. How many follow? But what equals pain and what equals pleasure is what you associate in your nervous system. So what happens is, the only way you create change is changing what you link pain and what you link pleasure to in your nervous system, not just in your head, in your gut. That's what controls you. Lots of times in your head, you know what you should do, but your gut takes over. Your fear, or your greed, or your desire, or your comfort, or whatever. Who knows what I'm talking about here? Say, ah. Watch this. How many of you used to have a favorite dessert, or a food, or a form of alcohol that you really, really, really loved? And then one night you had an experience like never before, where something happened, where this food or this drink or this alcohol that you love so much, it went down, but it kept coming back up at a level of intensity and with enough aroma and pain and association that to this day, it takes no willpower just to think of that alcohol or think of the smell of that food or look at it makes you appalled, makes you repelled. Who's had an experience like this in your life? Say, I. Tell me what that change was. Was that a change in willpower? No. All that happened is your brain changed what it used to link pleasure to, it now links pain to. If you link enough pain, it takes no willpower, you're going to avoid it. The problem is some of you are linking pain to things you need, like exercise, right? Or pain what you need, like a relationship, right? And it's the wrong association, but it's going to control your life. Your job is to change what you link pain and pleasure to. So that night, what was pleasure became pain, and now it takes no willpower, you just avoid it. So we call that changing what you associate to things in your nervous system, or for short, a neuroassociative change. In other words, changing in your nervous system, what you associate pain and pleasure to. So, by the way, in this Christmas Carol story, does this man Scrooge change his life, yes or no? Yes. He didn't want to change. Does he change his life a little or completely? By the way, how fast? An heartbeat, in one evening. How does it happen? 3 neuroassociative conditioning specialists show up at his house. Right? 3 ghosts show up, and what do? They get him to link a massive unbearable amount of what? All the things he did in the past around people. Then they go to everything he has in the present, pain, and everything in the future, pain. So there's so much, there was nowhere to escape. Here's the other reason why people don't change. Because right now, my relationship's in pain. But it was good in the past. So you escape having a change by remembering a good time. Or I may be coughing and having these problems with cigarettes right now, but you know what? George Burns lived to be 102. Smoked cigars, by the way, and he's 1 out of 10 billion people to pull that off. But let's not confuse ourselves with ratios. So you make up what the future is. If your present is painful, you can escape the past and get out of the pressure to change. How many follow this? Say I. Or you can escape to a future because no one knows what it is for sure and you can make it up. But if your brain links, it's been painful in the what? Past, in the, it's even worse in the, like that. Who here has ever stayed in a relationship that you knew was not right for you? It wasn't right for you, it wasn't right for them. Who has ever stayed in a relationship way too long? Who's done this before? Raise your hand. Say I. It wasn't good for you, it wasn't good for them, yet you stayed. Why? Why? Because even though it's painful in the present, what'd you do? You said, it'll get better over there in the future. Who finally changed? Who here finally changed that? Say I. How'd you do it? Your brain went, it's painful now, it was painful in the past, it's going to be worse in the future, that's it! That's what I call a Dickens pattern. When you walk in pain in all those places, there's no place to escape, so you change. Like if you put a wall here, and a wall here, and we close them in on you, amazingly, you'll move forward. That's what we're talking about. Giving yourself leverage on yourself that way, not having someone else do it to you, do it to yourself. That's when you got the power again. I'm going to get it. Say I.
Okay, what do you guys think about that? That's good, huh? So, I'm echoey. I don't like that. I don't know what happened. Okay, so Missy, when you said on your form, you have a fear of failure because when you are working and you're doing good, you're great, but when you don't, you feel like you're bloodied by failure. So reframing that into when I'm working, I'm moving forward no matter what. Because guess what? You're going to fail. That's part of it. You can't have everything be perfect all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah. So get leverage. You know, if you say you can't, you just must. I love that. He just says if you can't, you must. Interrupt or annihilate that limiting pattern. And Patty did a good job with that when she said, I reset it out loud. And next week we're going to talk about words massively and creating rapport with yourself and other people. It's awesome. Next week is awesome. I almost did it this week because I'm so excited about it, but we need to have this first. So, and then create that new pattern. And you guys, that's this week is for you to really be thinking about, you know, what am I afraid of? What's holding me back? Judy, your uncertainty, you know, of feeling worried about stuff. I wish Tammy was on the call. I'm going to use Tammy because Tammy is afraid that if she talks to somebody who has a medical condition, that she's going to feel like people are she's profiting off of their medical condition. Reframe that. You know, you're helping them. You know, and Holly, all you need to do is tell her your story. Like, let other people decide, right? So if you guys are reading this book, The Talent Code, it's very interesting, and it talks about how you are wiring yourself, and it's all myelin that wraps around those nerve cells. And I know you have all heard about the 10,000 hours that it takes for people to be good at something. And that is because in 10,000 hours, you create a lot of myelin. But also, you can reduce 10,000 hours. Now, I've been doing this for 12 years. I definitely have 10,000 hours in Juice Plus. I obviously am going to be able to do this better than somebody starting out their first day, as you guys are, right? But if you can chunk it down, you know, sometimes when people say, and I think our marketing plan does a beautiful job at this, where they say, oh, I want to be a national marketing director. Oh, it's too much. But if we can chunk it down and say, well, I'm going to have a presentation this week, and I'm going to invite some people, and then next, you know, I'm going to set some up maybe for the next 3 or 4 months like Kelly just did, which was awesome, by the way, and I'm going to get to that. You start chunking that down and linking things together, you can get there way faster than 10,000 hours. And there's an example in this book where they had a 6-year-old who was supposed to play this complicated piece, and they said she started out like every other terrible 6-year-old on her, whatever she was playing, we'll call it a clarinet, because I can't remember. And she would do a phrase, start over, replay it, start over, replay it, start over, and then she'd do the next one. It was bad, the next one. And then at the end, she linked them all together and played like Bach. I mean, it was beautiful. And they couldn't believe it because she already was using the skill naturally of chunking it down into little pieces, and it took her 6 minutes. Took all the other kids almost like 3 weeks to learn the piece. So you don't have to, you can do that by it. And so I want you to read that. So, you know, skills are utilized when you have certainty. You get to be the one that controls how you feel, your beliefs, your body, your voice, how that has to match. And I love this statement. Change is never of ability. It's always associated with motivation. And that's why this week, you guys, you've got to get as passionate as Holly is about your business. Whatever it is, take the time. You know, as soon as you decide, I think you all really know, but I think you're afraid to say if you're not saying it. And associate that failing to change now equals massive, immediate, unbearable levels of pain. You can stop thinking that way. It's going to keep you where you are. And associate that changing now to doing that, getting that passion now is going to give you extraordinary and immediate pleasure. And it will, because you'll have something to drive for that's fun. I love this statement. One man has enthusiasm for 30 minutes, another for 30 days, but it is the man who has it for 30 years that makes a success in his life. And I love the story Jay Martin told that went right along with that. So, again, you've got to change your state, and that's all through how you're presenting with your body, the language you're using, and what you're focusing on. That's how you change your state. And we talked about that last week. This is one of those main ingredients is your focus, okay? And then I put this little worksheet in there, and you guys can read through this. You'll have, again, access to this, and it's just a circle of kind of what we talked about. I'm not going to go through that right now. Here's a worksheet for you this week. Find your passion, and I'd love for you to do this. You know, you can do this in general for your life, but try to do it for your business too. And you guys
now,
can
do we have to fill these out and send them back to you, or just do them?
They are for you. Whether you do it or not is up to you. But I'll tell you, they really, really helped me.
No, because I went and did the sheets from the last week. You seem to. Were you just taking notes from us?
Oh no, I have a sheet that you filled out in the beginning.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure.
Okay, and then 5 things to asking intelligently. Ask specifically when you're asking people, what do you need? If you're looking for someone to that can help you, who can you model? You know, find somebody that's doing what you'd like to do and model them, you know? That's really, really key. And then if you want somebody to help you, ask them if they'll help you, but give them something back in return. And you'll see that a lot with, you know, somebody asked me if I would do a call for them. I said, sure, if you'll do a call for me. So, you know, how can you work together and be mutually together? And then when you're asking somebody, whether it's to join your business or to buy the product, again, you've got to have that congruent belief that you're doing it for the right reasons, right? Because if you're not convinced, how will they be? And then you want to keep asking until you get what you want, right? And it says here, and you guys can read through this, when you study successful people, you see that they kept asking, they kept trying, they kept changing, adjusting, right? Because that they knew sooner or later they would find someone who would satisfy their needs. Whether that's, again, somebody joining your team that's a good worker, or it's, you know, somebody that, you know, is wanting to experience Juice Plus or whatever, okay? And then change your state by using TV or transformational vocabulary. You know, we tend to use some really weak language sometimes, and these are examples. I like you a lot versus I love you, or I'll try versus I will. Do not say I'll try. And then, you know, I'm not sure versus I freaking rock and I'll figure it out. So you want to decide, commit, and resolve right now to be where you want to be in your business. And there is no try. You either are or you aren't. And if I tell you to pick up your pencil and you pick it up, you did it. If you don't, you aren't. So there's no trying, right? And if you guys are using the word try, take it out of your vocabulary because it is the most disempowering word in the world. There is no try. Yoda was right. There is only do. Okay? And then this is the next thing. This is the next thing, and we're kind of running out of time, but we're still okay for a moment. Put yourself in state when you guys do an incantation. And so there's a worksheet coming up for you for your incantation. You want to say something with such intensity that it's part of you, part of your conditioning. You know, an affirmation is okay, but it usually has no say. It's like just a saying. You know, like, I am awesome at making phone calls. I affect people's life for the better. I present with great confidence, and people love to hear me change their lives. I mean, just anything that moves you. This is one of the incantations that we had from UPW. I loved it. It says, now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. I will create, not destroy. I am a force for good. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Set a new standard and step up. Say yes, okay? My incantation is, I am an outstanding leader living an outstanding life surrounded by outstanding people that love and encourage me to be outstanding. I use that. It's something I can remember, and so people ask me, how am I doing? I'm saying I'm outstanding, because that reminds me that I am an outstanding leader living an outstanding. So you see what I'm saying? So it can be little, it can be big, but work on your incantation, okay? So there's a place for you to do that. There's another video that's at the end here. I will send that out to you guys. It'll be actually at the last slide on here. You guys can grab this as well here. I'm going to let you guys watch this one on your own. Please watch it. It is wonderful and a great way to kind of wrap up for today. So I'm going to let you guys go here soon, but tell me, does anybody have any, what'd you think of tonight? Any quick questions?
When will we get the slides for this for tonight?
Right after I get done with the other group.
Got to send some to my son, because he needs this too.
Okay, that's good.
Thanks, Reagan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reagan.
You guys all to please check out for our team here. Share a nugget and something that you think can help everybody else. So you're in your team, right? If you will.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reagan.
Thank you, Reagan. Bye, everybody.